Welcome back everybody to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week as we continue our featured series of Boneheaded Boaters of the Year. That's right, we're going back and taking a look at some of the most iconic clips that were featured on this channel in 2021. Some of the wildest scenes we saw out on the water. And of course, a lot of them ended up like this, where we saw some full send guys out there having a little bit too much of a good time. As we begin this episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Year Part 2, we're going to keep on that subject of the full send guy because everybody knows I love a full send guy, and we featured some great clips of people out there full sending it this year, especially some of these guys on the skis, kind of like my man right here. It didn't look so bad when you looked at it full speed, but in slow motion, man, he does cartwheels and everything as he comes flying off this thing. And here's another guy who decides he's going to absolutely send it on the ski. And he gets a little air and then he gets a little water. And when these PWC guys weren't out there sending it on the ski, they were out there sending whoever they were pulling. Now don't worry, we're not going to just have the PWC boys in on the action. They weren't the only ones out there sending it.
Set, look at the back set coming through already. No, he's going to have to turn around. No, he's not going to make it. Look at the sets out the back. No, he's going to roll. That's how he's going to get rolled. No, China, you are finished.
Now, it's always interesting to listen to somebody call it live when they see what's about to happen, and you always hope the boaters can see it as well, but sometimes it just doesn't play out that way. And this was another interesting scene from this year where this boat had to navigate between some surfers to try and get into the harbor, but unfortunately they wound up surfing a wave themselves and wound up in the rocks. And then here in our next scene, we've got another pair of full send guys, and things look alright. They hit this first wave, they absolutely sent it. They're probably giving each other high fives, thinking they crushed it, not realizing that there is another set coming in behind that's about to crush them. Being a full send guy really is a tough job. You're riding a very fine line of sending it just a little bit too far or not quite sending it far enough. This was definitely one of the wilder full send scenes of the year. Sure, it's not a boater, but it is happening at the marina around water. I'm just guessing this ambulance was following the GPS a little too closely and not quite paying enough attention. Full send guys are a blast to be around. They can be the life of the party, but there's still other people out in the water who like to have a little more fun than them. I'm not quite sure what it is about being out in the water that entices this, but there are plenty of people who go out there on the water and have a little more fun than they should, and of course it encourages them to do things that they normally probably wouldn't do or probably shouldn't do. But it does, however, lead to some very interesting scenes. When we see people go out there on the water and just have a little bit too much fun, it leads to some very interesting images being out there of them trying to get on and off the boat. If you've never been on a boat or been around a dock, sometimes just the act of getting on or off a vessel, even in a completely normal state of mind, can be a difficult task. Yet somehow these guys who have a little too much fun out in the water do it with such style and grace that it's absolutely amazing. Like this guy here, probably one of the most iconic ones of the year. I don't know how in the world he gets off this boat, but somehow he pulls it off. And never have too much fun behind the wheel. There's no reason to be a Captain Morgan out there on the water. It never pays off. And who can forget this scene? Two lovebirds enjoying a nice walk in the dock after having a little fun over at the restaurant. And of course, somehow they wind up in the water. This one still always blows my mind. This dude right here is just chilling in the chair. He barely even budged when this crew fell in. And even watching them try and get out now, still is just sitting there kind of staring. Having a little too much fun out on the water can turn even simple tasks into quite the adventure. And sometimes when you're out there having a little bit too much fun, you want to spread the fun. You want to go out there and have a good time and get others involved. But of course, that can lead into bad things happening as well.
Yeah, the boys! Oi! Oi!
Yeah, let's get up. There we go, all good. All good. There we go, you got it. Good.
And then of course, who can forget the stuffings? Typically when I'm talking about stuffings, most people will think I'm talking about Haulover Inlet, but there were plenty of other stuffings this year featured on this channel that were outside of that inlet, and many of them were significantly worse than some of the stuff we see over at Haulover. Kind of like this crew right here. They're heading out to try and enjoy a nice day of fishing, but this inlet's absolutely pummeling this crew. And this jet ski right here might have taken it worse than just about anybody else on the channel this year. This wave right here absolutely wrecks this guy. And then of course, some of you may remember this one. This was on Boating News of the Week, where they had some storms coming through Australia, and this catamaran right here, after being told repeated times by harbor masters not to go out and try and venture through this, decided they were going to go ahead and make the attempt anyway, and things didn't end so well. They did wind up making it back into the harbor safely though. Even though a lot of the stuffings we saw this year were absolutely insane, we also saw some insane things with wildlife.
Why is he, why are we all so calm that he is getting out and we have no engine and we're literally 10 foot away from him? Holy molies. Stay calm, stay calm. He's just dunking his head.
It really is incredible to see an animal this size manhandle this boat like this. Kind of feel bad for the owner of this vessel though. I'm not quite sure what this boat looked like when they came back to it after this incident.
This is cool. Oh my god, maybe he's gonna get back in. I think he's gonna get back in.
He just wanted to cool down.
Huh?
Maybe he just wanted to cool down. Oh, wow.
He just wanted to cool down.
Sometimes as humans we think we're the alpha predator on the water, and then sometimes we're reminded we're not.
Don't worry, the shark is gonna get you. No, shut up. Did you get it?
Thanks for watching everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Year, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2022. If you ever see anything crazy happening out in your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know when you might see your stories over here. Just like Marvin Maverick, Carrie Camker, Kumitaji Higo, Adrian Wingrove 4, Koa Flowers 57, Dellerco 87, John Carrington, J. Root Surrett, AJ Phillips, Munda King Surfing, Steve Mercer, Calumet IS, Connor McNally 14, Melvin Kleinhazer 1, Douglas Brown 669, Lil Shan 1987, F. Ross Pierce, Liam Holden, Nautical Expert, and Parlay Revival did this time. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.